Good morning, grade 10s. Welcome to our video lesson for the 22nd of April. Today, before we getting into assigning values to variables, I just quickly want to take you through the week's work to recap what we have learned so far about variables. The first thing was data types. I quickly want to take you through the list of possible data types in Delphi, or the ones that we're actually working with in grade 10. The first one is string, which is text. So that text, even a number, can be displayed as text. So 12 could be text, but anything that we don't do calculations with is usually considered string or text. Then we have char, which is a single character. It can be a letter or a number, but it is 1 digit long. We have an integer, which is a whole number. Could be negative numbers or positive numbers. It's limited, but any whole number that we are working with for now, we call that integer. Then we have a number that has decimal places, called real. Then we have a Boolean, which is either true, false, yes, no, or -1, 0. All three of them are the same. It is used in decision making, yes or no. And once we start working with it, you will actually, I think, understand this even better. And then we have tDate, and I told you already, this is added to our curriculum, and we're going to see how that's going to work. It's a little bit different when it comes to our naming convention, and that was the second lesson that we did this week. How do we name variables? So we have the first letter of the data type plus a descriptive name, and we use the camel case to actually name our variable. We could also use underscores because a space is not allowed within our naming of our variables. However, I would like to ask you to use camel case so that we all do the same thing. So examples then would be for string, sname, and you can see here the combination of the first letter S and then descriptive name. In the case of birthday, wish, list. So we have 3 words, distinct because of the camel case, but it's very descriptive. So in that variable, we have a birthday wish list. There we go. Character, C letter or C initial. For example, we want to say, hello, Mrs. S. Block, and the S would be a single character, hence a character or char. Integer, I number of fruit or I count. Real, R total cost or R price. And then we have a Boolean, be found or be citizen. And then the exception to this rule would be tDate, because the T is reserved for something else, which we will only look at much later. All right, so then we go over to declaring our variables, which we did yesterday. So I've put up a piece of code here, click of a button. Our procedure, click of a button. You can see I did not name my button properly, as I should have. It should have said BTN click or something, BTN happy birthday. But for now, I just named it button 1, or I left it button 1. So, where does our declaration of our variable go to? It goes right there, between the procedure and the begin. So you will have to press enter after here to create some space to write your variable declaration. There are other places in your unit where you can declare variables, but we will come to that at a later stage. So we have a keyword called var. You have to use this keyword. And then we have an indentation and we can write down our variables. I can list them. If I have several variables of the same data type, I can separate them and list them with a comma. So S name, S surname, etc. I can list a couple of more. And then if I want to list more, declare more variables of other data types, I can simply press enter and you write them in a new line. I number, I count, I integer. That could continue like this with booleans and characters and other data types as well. Right, then our code goes in here. And this is what today's lesson is all about, how to assign values to the variables that we have declared over here. Right, so I'm going to bring up my textbook. There we go. And we are going to look at how do we assign. I'm just quickly going to through this, and you can obviously read through this a little bit more thoroughly. And then I'm going to bring up Delphi, and we're actually going to, in a practical way, I will show you how to do it. And then I'm going to ask you to do activity 3.4 at the end for the remainder of the lesson. So very important, a couple of things. So we have our variable over here, and then we have what we call an assignment symbol or an assignment operator, which is in Delphi colon equal sign. So let me highlight that. So this one is very important, colon equal sign. And then on the right hand side we have the value that we want to assign to the variable. So it's always this way around. Variable name on the left, and then we assign whatever value is on the right into this. Now we can have variable names on this side as well, but only A, when they contain a value already, and B, if we want to assign that value to another variable on this side. Okay, so lots of times beginners make the mistake to put the value on this side and then assign the variable to that. Please do not do this. I'm restating it again. Left receives our variable, then we have the assigning symbol or the assignment operator, and right gives the number, gives to the variable itself, to the variable. So left receives, right gives, and we have to use colon equal to do the assignment of the value. Okay, here a couple of examples. I number operator colon equals value 12, and this is how we would be assigning it. B status true. I just want to highlight quickly here the single quotes. That is, in Delphi we need single quotes for when we're working with text. So John is text, and that's why we have to have the single quotes. For a character, if we're assigning symbol A to a character or one, it also needs to have single quotes because it is also text. So I'm going to untick this, otherwise I'm going to highlight everything. So values are assigned by using the colon equal operator, assignment operator. The variable name appears on the left, and the values being assigned on the right. To ensure the value is assigned successfully, the value of the right of the assignment operator must be of the same type as of the variable of the compatible or of a compatible type. So 12 is a number, which is an integer. I can't say here S name equals 12. If I want to see 12 as text, I need to put single quotes around 12. So this and this both has to be of the same data type. Once a value has been assigned to a variable, it overwrites, replaces an existing value stored in the variable. So here just a couple of examples. S name Kagiso, and see the quotation marks, or the not quotation, single quotes. I number 5, R average 67.74, B pass true, etc. Okay, watch out, when a new value is assigned, the previous value is overwritten. So in the example that they're giving here, we have S name and IMark, and they've assigned whatever is in the component.text into our S name. And you can see the text property of the edit is of string data type. S name is of string data type. So those are compatible. So I can assign the value, whatever the user typed into the edit, to S name. And now the mark is 75. Now over here, I've just now added already a little sticky note. So IMark 77, that is overwritten. IMark is overwritten by, I'm going to close this not to distract. So IMark was 75, and now I'm typing in 77 to IMark. So 75 is overwritten. Okay, let's open this again. I want to quickly highlight, no, I can't highlight my sticky note, but I can zoom in. Okay, so we have a golden rule over here. And the golden rule means I can assign a variable to itself. Okay, so IMark colon equal IMark plus 10. So if IMark was 75, this will say, okay, I'm going to assign 75 plus 10, which is 85, to the same variable. But the 75 that was in IMark is now overwritten by this calculation. So golden rule means variable colon equals variable, the same variable, plus something else. Okay, that's very important, but we will look at that a little bit more, especially with string text, where we can build a sentence using the golden rule. So letter by letter or word for word, we can build and add something to our text. Okay, I'm going to close this now and zoom out again. All right, we're going to ignore this part. Watch out, the name is symbolic and is how the programmer accesses the value of the variable. Every variable must have unique name, so you can't have twice S name. That's confusing. The program won't be able to know which one is which. The type represents what kind of data is stored within the variable. Value, the value represents the content, and then the location, the memory cell where the value is kept. And yes, we ignore this a little bit because that's a bit confusing and not so important for now. Okay, variable can only store one value at a time, very important. So if you want to assign more than one value, if you have like a math mark and an English mark and an Afrikaans mark, you have to declare separate variables for the separate marks. Okay, you can look through the example. Quickly, two things. Assigning a variable, and you can see I've already put a sticky note there again. So assigning the value of variable A to variable B will never affect the value of variable A. In this situation, a copy of variable A's value is being assigned to variable B. So I'm going to zoom in here again. So for example, I've got iFinalMark and IMark Math integer. IMark Math, I'm assigning a value of 88 to it. There we go. And then I'm assigning IMark Math to iFinalMark. So IMark Math stays 88, but I can assign this one to iFinalMark. So it makes a copy basically of this one over there. All right, let's close that, zoom out. Okay, there are only a few things you can do with a variable. So we have our variable name, another variable assigning operator, another variable or value plus 1. So we can create a variable using correct naming convention, which we've done there, put some value into the variable, using a signing statement. There we go, and we're putting something in. Use the value of the variable by simply writing the name of the variable, for example, iNumber. So there we go. That concludes. I want you to do activity 3.4, but not just yet, because I quickly want to bring up Delphi. So I've created a little form, and I've named them actually correctly, except, let me zoom in there, except my labels. But yeah, so I've got an edit where I want to put in a name, I want to put in an age over there, and when I click on happy birthday, it must say, hi, let's say Thomas, you are 18 years old. So let's double click on this one again. So the variable declaration happens between procedure and begin, and we have our keyword var, indentation, and I'm going to have the variable as name, which is a string, and age, which is an integer. Okay, now we start coding. So we call this now, we have to initialize our variables. That means assigning for the first time a value to it. So sname colon equals, I'm going to just take my mouse away so that you can see, edt name dot text. So whatever is written in that edit is now assigned to sname. And for ih colon equals sed, that's my spin edit, dot value. Value property is the one that contains the number value of that. SEDH also, I'm going to just copy this quickly, highlight. If I would have been in class, I would have asked you to remind me to put a semicolon at the end, because every line ends with a semicolon. So over here, instead of value, we could also say text. The spin edit has a text property. However, that value that's in the text property is of string value, and that would not be compatible with an integer variable. So Delphi or Pascal, the language that we're using, has actually function that can convert. So I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I want to show this to you now so that you understand that we can convert data types to another data type if the actual value allows that. I can't change Thomas into 12, but I could change 12, the text 12, to a number 12. So the conversion function in this case would be string to int. So now I have converted the string that is in this text to an integer. But for now we don't need this, so I can comment this out. And I highlight this. 2 forward slashes is a comment, and it will ignore this code now because it will see this as a comment and not as text. So later on, we actually encourage you to write comments like assignment of name to sname or whatever, some descriptive, especially if you do a calculation to explain to somebody who looks at your code what you're actually doing. So that's 2 forward slash. If you want to comment out larger number of texts, let's say something is not running and you get frustrated, you can also use the curly brackets to, so now curly bracket here and curly bracket there means everything between them is commented out. But we don't want to do that. You can see I removed it and it commented out even the end over there. Okay, but we want to keep this and we're going to continue like this. I'm going to use the value out of the value property of the spin edit, so it's already an integer, it's compatible. Okay, so now I want to do a calculation. Because it's someone's birthday, I say IH colon equals, so I'm assigning something new to it, is IH plus 1. So I was 17, it's my birthday, so now I'm 18. Now we can simply display that. Show message. I can say hi, and now we're adding. So hi is string. You can see the quotation marks. Now I'm adding our variable s name. So I'm adding something to the text over here simply by using plus. Now I'm going to add and again some text. Hi, you are, and now I want to add the age, but the age is an integer and my show message is string. So now unfortunately I have to convert it, and I do the opposite of what I've done here. String to int. Now I have to say int to string because it's an integer and I want it to be string. age plus, and now I can say you are years old today. Right, and that concludes that. Let's run our program. And I've made a mistake. Can you believe it? Let's quickly see. Where did I make a mistake? Oh, I did not close the string over there. Okay, let's try that again. And now it actually runs. I'm bringing over the form and I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so I can enter my name here, Thomas, and age. I'm going to lie about my age. I'm 17, still young, and I'm going to click on happy birthday. And there we go. Hi, Thomas, you are 18 years old today. If we compare this with our code over here, let's just put it like that. So we have S name, which is written, which is Thomas. We have our age, which is going into IH. Then I'm going to add one, and then we're displaying it over here. So now I can say here, for example, say Peter. Peter is 3 years old, and today is his birthday. And he is, hi Peter, you are 4 years old. All right, guys, this concludes today's video lesson. And I hope you will manage to do activity 3.4 now. Enjoy. Have a good day.